Hi, my name's Clare Bailey, and I'm working with Business Lincolnshire, your local growth hub, to deliver a series of playbooks that are supplemented by these short videos. In this particular series, we're looking at supply chain and supplier management, and this is the fifth of all five parts. Today, I'm going to talk about physical logistics and home delivery. So, obviously, we all have experienced home delivery, and we have to understand a certain amount of physical logistics with regard to how stuff gets around the place. But what we need to dig deeper into is what that really means when it comes to the customer experience and the customer promise. So, looking at that, logistics is really where the promises meet reality. It's when you say that the delivery is going to come between 1 and 6 p.m., it does. But it's also not just the delivery to the customer, the home delivery. The physical logistics is also very much about making sure that your warehouse, stockroom, or whatever else it may be receives a complete and on time delivery according to the schedule, according to your promise with your supplier. And it's very important to track and manage that in order to make sure that you are in stock for your customers, whether that be in store, online, or indeed for doing home delivery. Now, there's a lot of moving parts in this. It's quite an interesting topic. It certainly meets its name because it's all about the logic of all of these bits and pieces moving together in a way that makes everything run smoothly. So you have inbound. Inbound to where? A warehouse, distribution center, third-party logistics provider, store, customer's house. Storage. What do you need to store? Is that stockroom in a store or do you have external storage? Outbound. That's when you're actually making customer deliveries and so on. But one of the things a lot of retailers and especially small retailers forget is returns, what's called reverse logistics. And that's really, really important because actually a lot of people will buy, for example, if they don't know you, let's say you're in fashion, two or three different sizes, two or three different colours, and they fully expect to return more than 50% of their delivery. But the return needs to be slick and smooth. We'll come on to that. You also have to decide whether you're willing to manage a lot of this in-house, if you have the storage space, the staffing, and so on, or if you're going to outsource it to what's called a 3PL, a third-party logistics provider. And as I mentioned in the previous episode, I mean, there are even quite high standard providers within Lincolnshire that can offer services to people, whether they're selling via Amazon, fulfilled by Amazon, marketplace, e-commerce, in their own store environment, in their own e-commerce environment. So there's some really good providers out there, and it's just a matter of deciding what you would prefer to do. I tend to favour my motto is do what you do best and outsource the rest. So if you can give great customer service and product knowledge in store, but you're not somebody that particularly wants to manage warehouse, pick, pack, and dispatch and dealing with returns and customer complaints, then I'd say it's probably best to outsource. You then also need to match the solution you choose to go with according to the scale and the budget you've got available. And what I mean by that is how far do you think this is going to go? Do you think that you're going to become quite significant through home delivery and online and so on? And can you afford to outsource versus in-house? However, it often works out cheaper to go with an outsourcer because in-house you might need to commit to temporary or full-time contracts, part-time and whatnot, 20 hours a week. And if it's not busy for a particular week, you'll be paying for a staff member to maybe not have much to do. Whereas with outsourcing, you tend to just pay per parcel. So it's definitely worth investigating. And back to my point on returns, despite the fact you may feel like a return is not a positive thing, if you think about your own behavior, it is because chances are they're not going to return everything. So they'll have ordered more than they needed so that they can try on at home, for example, or check the quality and colors and so on. It's really difficult to buy online because no matter how much you invest in photography and product descriptions, until you get it into real life in the hands of the customer, they'll never really be sure. So they do tend to overorder. But returns done well does lead to repeat customers, loyalty, and a very good reputation, good advocacy, and good reviews. And that's really important. So My humorous just one thing, which is never just one thing, is logistics is where your brand promise becomes reality for your customers. So you can either excite and delight or let them down just by not having the stock in store or not having the delivery arrive on time or having crumpled packaging and so on. We've all seen those social media posts about whoever the delivery provider would be chucking things over people's fences or putting parcels in wheelie bins on the day of collection. That's not good. That's extremely bad for the brand. And of course, if customers don't get what they expect, what they ordered, they don't get the service that was been promised, they do start to complain, and quite rightly so, because again, put yourself in the shoes of that customer. They don't want to be let down. So it's really important for your action to think about your logistics end to end, from receipt of goods from suppliers, receipt of deliveries, the storage, then any delivery out to customers or stores, and also how you handle returns. And if that's something that's a little onerous and takes up too much of your time, then maybe it's time to decide to outsource. And I'd urge everyone, please don't forget your reverse logistics, including refer to supplier or manufacturer if there are quality concerns, because reliable returns processes do help with the customer trust and loyalty and the ongoing advocacy more than you might imagine. And that's it. As I said, it's short and sweet. If you've not found this video via the playbook, you can access the full playbook with further content via businesslincolnshire.com/programs/retail accelerator program. Obviously, if you are watching this video, you are in YouTube, and on this YouTube channel, there are many more short little webinars just like this across the different topics that we've produced under the retail stream. And if you feel that you'd like to speak to someone in person, you can contact your local Growth Hub advisor via businesslincolnshire.com/contact-us. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the series.